In this episode, I share with you what it really takes to live from a place of freedom so that way you no longer hold yourself back with all the fears, the doubts, the insecurities that are plaguing so many people today. Because look, at the end of the day, the world needs more leaders. And if you are working from lack, scarcity, doubt, fear, uncertainty, that's okay. But just know when you continue to expand yourself, when you raise your vibration, you will soon find that other people will be attracted to you to support you on your path, in your purpose, and on your mission. So stay tuned. I'm Adam Kiddoo, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Kiddoo podcast. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Adam Kiddoo podcast. Now, if you guys haven't listened to the first few episodes, please go ahead and do so now because things are building. Things are brewing. Things are growing. We just launched the Adam Kiddoo podcast, and the first few episodes that I did, the solo episodes, I really set some context for this whole entire conversation of where we are now and where we're going. And I say we, I'm talking to entrepreneurs and I'm talking to you if you have a huge heart and you have this urge, this inner nudge saying that you want to do something different, you want to help more people, or you want to follow this nudge that's inside of you that's trying to pull at you and get your attention. You feel like there's something more for you. So make sure you go back and listen to those episodes. And also, we just are kicking this thing off. I would absolutely love it. I'll open up and ask nicely and lovingly for a rating and review on iTunes or whatever platform you are listening on. That's going to help us to be found by more people and to reach more people, to help them to discover what they're missing in their lives, what's getting in their way, what's holding them back, so they can move forward powerfully. And in this conversation today, I'm super excited, as I always am, just getting on the mic and rapping a bit. I'm super excited to break down some concepts that people talk about, and they look good on Instagram. They might look good on a bumper sticker, but most people don't fully grasp the power of some of these concepts that I'm going to share in this episode today. Namely being, we'll just go ahead and kick into it. There's a lot of people, and I'll just say entrepreneurs, and here I'll preface by saying this show is designed more for entrepreneurs. However, if you're the type of person who basically you're unsatisfied at work, you have this inner nudge, this inner calling that says there's more for me, I would dare to say that we're all entrepreneurs in one aspect or another. If you are constantly looking new ways to bring in new revenue, or if you want to align with your heart and your passion and do something that you put your own stamp on, you're an entrepreneur. So even if you aren't quite an entrepreneur yet, stick around and also listen to some of the episodes with my guests, so that way you can get a better understanding of how these people think, how they act, how they behave, their beliefs. And that's going to help you so much to get off to the races to create something that you're proud of, that you're excited about, that's allowing more freedom and flexibility in your life with your family and everything you're up to. So wanted to preference that, because I do have some people who have been listening in who say, I'm not an entrepreneur. I think we're all entrepreneurs. And if you are, I would dare to say the 5% of people who are happy in their business, in their jobs, then that's fine. I acknowledge that. I applaud that. That's great. But I really get the sense that there's a lot of us that just have this inner nudge to do something more. So I've said that a few times. Now, I want to start out this conversation talking more about this misnomer that I fell victim to early on in my business. And that was this purpose, this passion, this path was just going to open up. Like if I just keep looking and seeking, and I'm going to find this path. And once I get on my path, or I know my purpose, or I find my passion, like all the gurus are out there talking about, then everything else will become a lot easier. Then I will be in alignment. That money will start rolling in and people will just love me. It'll be perfect, right? I did a lot of seeking early on. And I actually, at one standpoint, set captive for the longest time and did not move forward until I felt like I was on track for my purpose and passion and path. And I wasted a freaking lot of time. And yes, we can sit back, we can sit in the silence, we can connect with ourselves. But if you're actively seeking, thinking that, hey, look, if something just happens out in the external world, that's going to open up to make it be like known that, hey, look, this is where I'm going. I'm not going to waste time. This is exactly what I'm meant to do. You're going to be waiting a long time because it takes action. And not just blind action, not just throwing 500 things at the wall, but really trusting yourself and taking actions in a way that opens that door for you. And I'm a firm believer that you must show the universe, you must show the world what you want first. You must step forward in faith first in order for the doors to open. And so if you're sitting back at all, waiting to get ready, right? If you're getting ready to do something, if you're getting ready to have a conversation, if you're getting ready to do this, I'm going to dare to say that you're probably working from a place of fear. Because if you were courageous, on the other side of fear is courage. If you were being courageous, then you wouldn't be getting ready. You wouldn't be trying to do something. You'd be doing it. This is my intention. This is where my heart is at. This is what I intend to do. You're working from a powerful place. But we put a lot of our power on this whole idea that there's this one path. There's this one thing we do the rest of our lives. And when I figure that out, then the sky's open and everything's peachy. It's not how it is. We must learn the lessons to be the type of person who opens the doors for that path, that dharma, that purpose. But most people are working from a place of fear. And I think a lot, this sounds very strange. I know, I think a lot about the caveman days because our ancestors, right, passed down a lot of DNA. And the way DNA changes is through experience. And back then, they had to be very careful, even stepping out of a cave, right? So there's actually studies that had been done that showed that cavemen, cave women did not go out of their cave unless the environment around them was conducive for a successful hunt. So if it was cloudy, if it was foggy at all, if it was rainy at all, they're not hunting that day because it's actually more of a risk than there would be a reward. And so their whole world was about survival. That's our brains for you. It's survival. That's what we're designed to do, to survive. Our brains would much rather us just survive than to thrive. But as huge-hearted people, and as we have this, yet again, this urge, this nudge inside of us, we want more. We want to grow. We want to blossom. We do want to thrive. But our brains are going to say, nuh-uh, it's scary out there. It's a not a great environment to go out. It's not a great environment to put yourself out and to grow a business and to help more people because people are crazy these days, right? And also the environment, we got the economy and we got all this stuff. It's not a great place to start something new. It's not a great place to share your heart. Let's just ride it out. Let's just stay safe. Let's just keep doing what we've always been doing, even though we're freaking miserable inside. That's okay. We'll be miserable our entire lives. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. As crazy as it sounds. But here's the thing. If you do have that nudge, and I'm going to keep referring back to that nudge. If you do have that nudge, you're what I will call a hunter in a gatherer's world, right? Because there is people out there that we've been trained for instant gratification. We want things now. We want things easy. I want to be able to go to one store and get all my stuff. I want to be able to push some buttons online and order my stuff. I want to be able to watch my movies and stuff by pushing a couple buttons on the computer, on my device. Instant gratification. We're living as hunters in a gatherer's world. And what happens is us as hunters, we have falling into the line of being gatherers, being passive, just being okay with our environment and our circumstances, where in all reality, we are designed to create, to go out, to find new opportunities, to provide, to mix things up, to play a bigger and more dangerous game. But the thing that divides those who are hunters, who are showing up more as gatherers, the thing that divides those hunters that are actually out there doing it versus those who are sitting back passively, thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, they think they're going to think their way into success. That one divide is fear. It's fear. And it's funny because I'll talk to people sometimes. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine, months ago, and I brought up the fear word. And she's like, no, get it. I'm not afraid. I just have this, that, the other thing, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, if you're not afraid, let's go. Let's put it out there. Well, I'm getting ready to do this. We have all these excuses, right? And I helped her to see that, okay, yeah, it is fear at the root of that. Because if it wasn't, if I was working from knowing and trusting that no matter what I do from this moment, things are going to be fine. Things are going to work out. As long as I have my intention set, if I'm in a pure place of heart and wanting to help and be of service and to provide a greater experience, a richer experience for those who around me, if that's where I'm working from, then I know all will be fine. But so many people get into fear. And I know you probably you're not connecting with that whole fear word. I'm not in fear. But I have people that I've worked with that literally, and I used to do this to you guys. That's why I want to bring this topic to you. I would do so much dancing around the things I really needed to do. And maybe you might even see this in conversations with a significant other. You are being this passive person who's dancing around, but you feel the urge, the nudge to have a deeper conversation, to bring things to the table, but something is saying no. It's not the right time. It's not the right environment. Things aren't safe to do so. So you just coexist and you're kind of, going along, doing your thing. All the while you're giving your power away because you're working from fear. Anytime we work from fear, we give our power away. And I'm here to say enough of that. When we work from fear, we give our power away. We are powerless. And so when it comes to entrepreneurship, this may be seen as changing your Instagram bio 500 times. Been there and done that. This might be crafting the email that you never send. This might be building all of these landing pages that you never publish. This might be all the getting ready to get ready, tweaking your website, crafting your signature statement and your elevator pitch, right? How many elevators are you in these days that you're doing a pitch in these elevators, right? All of this stuff, it's not really serving a purpose. It's getting ready to get ready. But when will you be ready? When will you be ready to put an offer out? When will you be ready to have these tough conversations? When will you be ready to start sketching out this new business plan for yourself? When will you be ready? Without context, without setting something in stone for yourself, without commitment, you will continue to push that off, push that off, push that off. And so here's the thing as well. I used to listen to everybody besides myself. I would literally put an emphasis on what everybody else said, but I didn't trust myself. For example, early on, I was hearing from people who were talking about the passive laptop lifestyle where they have their courses and their automations and their funnels and all this stuff. And I was busy trying to build all this stuff. And every day I was dying inside. And I also had a mentor tell me at one standpoint, they said, coaching, let's just say this, one-to-one coaching is not scalable. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't do one-to-one coaching. I've got to launch this course and this big thing. I've got to have this big launch to get these people in. And I was working on all the passive stuff, trying to get this set up to where people would just automatically buy. I can get a group going, but I needed to do the one-to-one. I needed to bring on some clients. I needed to get closer to people to learn what they're truly going through in order to better serve others who are going through similar situations. But I spent so much time because I got this advice saying you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, even though at my heart I was like, yeah, I should do this. This is what's calling me right now. And so I finally let go of that and I stepped forward with courage because, hey, look, the mentor, he's doing well, and I'm like, well, shoot, I should listen to him because he knows what I'm doing and I'm struggling in my business. So I better just listen to him. Right. It's giving my power away. There's so many other instances. There's people that are like, you shouldn't coach unless you're certified or you've had certain training and stuff like this. And I'm like, well, I better go get some training. I better go get this certification and stuff. Even though in my heart, I was like, no, I know I can help people right now. And I know I want to help people right now. All of these thoughts, all of these things were getting in my way of showing up as me and freaking helping people. And you might be seeing the same, whatever that looks like for you. And I will say too, people pick up on your energy, right? So even if I have all these doubts and fears and insecurities, it takes me being vulnerable, courageous, and also letting my heart shine, being passionate for people to fully connect. Because if I'm working from a place of fear, like I was early on in my business, I hope people buy. I hope they get it. I hope they understand it. I hope things aren't awkward. Hey, and then I would just kind of be like, this is what I'm doing. And I do this half-hearted training. All the while I'm just like, what can I say so people will buy? What can I say so people buy? What can I say so people will buy? It's not a great place to work from. What can I say that's going to change somebody's life? What can I say that's going to inspire them to want to work with me? What can I say to radically change how they view this moment in time, this point in time, in order to show them how serious the situation is? Excuse me, I'm slurring on my words a little bit. We're keeping it real here. So check in with yourself. What are the things you're avoiding? And I'm telling you yet again early on, and you'd be surprised. I avoided talking to my accountant early on in my business for probably 6 months. It's freaking out. I probably owe all this money and he's going to bill me all this money and blah, 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 blah. It ate me up for 6 months. Literally. And even if I wasn't consciously thinking about it, it was in the back of my mind. It was sucking my energy. All I needed to do was to turn and face that fear, step right towards it. It was fear. And as soon as I did, as soon as I found the courage to pick up the phone and have that call, wasn't that big of a deal. Was not that big of a deal. I didn't owe nearly as much as I thought, and they billed me next to nothing. I lost months, hours, weeks, days. I lost sleep, probably lost years off my life worrying about stupid, silly stuff. And in that moment, I was like, wow, all that worry and all that future thinking about a reality that's not even real. And it killed me. Where else am I doing that? Where else am I leaking so much energy? Where else am I avoiding? So I started looking. I was like, what's uncomfortable? And there was conversations that I wanted to have for a long time with my wife. So you know what I did? I started leaning in. And what happened is I went from this place of actual depression back in 2014, where I literally felt like the walls were closing in. I literally felt like I was shrinking. Like my head was about to pop off my shoulders. It was a bad place. Then I saw that fleeting moment where I smacked fear in the mouth and I called my accountant. Then I had a deep conversation with my wife to set some things clear that I've been wrestling with, to come clean with, and also to essentially set some more boundaries for what I actually needed in our relationship, and also to support me from a business standpoint. And then I'm like, wow, it just opened up so much energy. I could see clearly. My vision wasn't so clouded. I started to dream again. I started to see what's possible just by a few things. So now I'm telling you now, if I feel that I'm avoiding something at all, and trust me, not perfect with this, it's my intention, and I continue to expand here. This is your route to expansion. It's not waiting for the purpose, the passion, the path. It's by leaning in to that which is making you uncomfortable, leaning into that which you are avoiding. And so I keep leaning in, and the world expands. New opportunities come in, new possibilities open that I didn't see before. Abundance rolls in. Relationships become more expansive. We no longer get in the little loops of these little tiny things that we were just looping and looping and looping and fighting and fighting and fighting about. It opens up when you lean in. And here's the thing as well. Your vibe attracts your tribe. If you're the angry type of person, if you're always frustrated, if you're doubtful, if you're working from fear, doubt, and scarcity, you are going to attract that right back to you. And so when you put yourself online and you're wondering, why am I not attracting my audience? Yes, it could be a messaging problem, right? Yes, it could be a niche or offer problem, but you're attracting people with a similar vibration to you. And what I realized was there's actually a scale, and I'm not going to get into the science today. Maybe I'll break it down later, but you can actually test what state you are from a couple different ways. One is kind of like a strength test type of deal. You can either do a hand squeeze or raise your shoulders or whatever. If somebody puts their hand on your hand and you raise it up in front of them, the state you're in is going to determine the strength on that scale. And there's ways to test this also with vibration and energy as well. Early on in my business, I was living in the lowest form of vibration when I was depressed. And that is shame and guilt. And resignation, apathy. I felt sorry for myself. I beat myself up. I felt guilty for, my wife working so hard and things weren't working out in my business. That was my world that consumed me. I was allowing those thoughts to eat me alive. But you can actually move up on the scale. And what's crazy is even above that is fear. Fear is actually above shame and guilt. Because if you think of somebody who's in shame or guilt, that's weakness. And fear, sometimes you have a spark of something in there, right? And then you shift to this place of desire. There's a beautiful, beautiful shift that happens. It's no longer about fear and what could happen, what if, but what do you want? It's almost like you switch your intention a little bit. Not quite from working from a place of intention and knowing, but you have this desire, something that you want. And also, it moves up to a place of anger. Anger is actually a stronger vibrational state than fear. So there was times where anger would come up, right? I was angry at myself. I was angry at how I had trained, and catch this, you guys, how I had trained my wife to treat me. We are all training people how to treat us. It's not their fault that they're treating us a certain way. It's how we've trained them to treat us. And so I was angry at myself and angry at my wife at the time for how things were, right? I mean, I had this energy, this passion inside me. So I had to point it somewhere, right? So I wanted to point fingers and blame it on somebody else. That's where I was working from back then. Then all of a sudden, in 2017, maybe it's 2018, I chose a simple word for my life for that year. And that word was courage. That's when I was leaning in. Anytime that I felt fear, I'd lean in. And I won't say anytime, but that was my intention. That was where my awareness was. I leaned in. If I was afraid to do a Facebook Live, I freaking leaned in. If I felt like I wanted to send an email to somebody or get on a sales calls with somebody, I leaned in. If I felt I was on a sales call with somebody and I felt the anxiety coming and, oh, you can't present an offer, I leaned in. I leaned in, I leaned in, I leaned in. And what happens when you lean in, think about it. You get momentum as long as you keep going. And so if you are starting something, or if you've been starting something for a while, if you've been getting ready to get ready, or if you've been doing the doings, but things aren't working out, keep leaning in. I was at a live event with James Wedmore, I believe 2018, same year. And I told him, I was like, look, I've been leaning in. Things are starting to open up. I feel it. I see it. I'm starting to get some results. But this has been a crazy ride. He said, amazing, amazing. All I can say is just keep going. And I will pass that along to you. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're going through, just keep going. Winston Churchill said, when you're going through hell, keep on going. Don't stop now. Maybe that's a country song, but I think Winston Churchill said that as well. But just keep going. Lean in. Every time you stop, every time you sit in your thoughts and your overwhelm and your overthinking and your fear and you're beating yourself up and your shame and guilt, I should be here, but I'm not. You're stopping all momentum. But just imagine when you continue to lean in with courage. Then you get to this beautiful place of neutrality when we're continuing to work up the vibrational scale. Being neutral, ground zero, 0 point, where everything is possible. Because courage actually signifies that you're still a little bit in fear. Because if you need to be courageous for something, that signifies there's still fear there. So that's not the greatest state. But I'm telling you, it's a hell of a lot better than fear. But then get to this neutral place where you have this inner knowing, this inner sense that everything is now, always has been, always will be just fine. This peaceful place. You start to work from this knowing and trusting that I speak tremendously about. This place of knowing that, look, as long as I share my heart, as long as I'm real, as long as I'm moving forward, it's all done. Everything's taken care of. It's all done. And yes, and then you do something and it doesn't yield the result you're after, and you get in your head and you're thinking, well, Adam said all this, so I just got to lean in, and then this happened, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not where we go. We just keep leaning in. We just keep leaning in. We don't need to get in all the baggage and all the interpretations and add all the meaning that you're going to have to carry around the rest of your life. It has no meaning. Just keep leaning in. Lean in to win. So let me ask you again. What are you avoiding right now? What is it? And I'm telling you, chances are it's a conversation. More than anything, it's a conversation. Or it's you showing up, or it's you presenting an offer, or it's you announcing the date of something, or it's you talking to somebody who knows more than you do about a certain topic, an accountant, a business friend. Right? But it's a conversation. And what happens is that fear creeps in. The fear of rejection. What if I say this and they're just like, oh, you're not cut out for this. What are you talking about? Or if I put something out with my heart and then nobody responds. What if? Well, I'm here to say, what if? What if you do and it does work? What if you do have that conversation and things are beautiful afterwards? What if you do stand for your value, your heart, and your offer, and people want to work with you? What if? What a beautiful place to work from. There's some expansiveness. There's some abundance there. But all the thinking in the world won't get you there. It's that neutrality. It's that place of letting go. And that's just where things begin. Then we can move up to more powerful places like acceptance. Life is the way it is. It is. That's it. Marie Forleo, who's a great entrepreneur, says, isness, like this isness is my business. I'm just worried about what is, right? I'm not getting so wrapped up in what was or what's going to be. I'm here with what is. So you have this acceptance. Then you move up a little higher into love and joy and peace and expansiveness, right? And you can work from there. And it doesn't take a radical, year, 3 years, 5 years. It doesn't need to even take that long. It just takes commitment. It takes trusting yourself. And yes, we would like to jump from shame to peace and love and expansiveness. But sometimes you're going to move up the scale. Sometimes there's going to be some anger and frustration. Sometimes there's going to be fear. Sometimes there's going to be you working from courage. But check in with yourself. Where am I? I ask myself that dozens of times per day. Where am I? Where am I? And I'm going to feel good in my body right now, because how I feel is how I show up. And how I show up determines who I'm going to attract and the results that I will bring back to me as well. So at any given moment, you have that conversation. How am I feeling? Am I having this place from guilt and shame? And I wanted to just come and talk about this. Or are you in your power? Are you in your peace? Are you okay in accepting that which is? Are you feeling love and compassion for that person? That's going to determine a whole new outcome for you. So check in with yourself. And also suspend all beliefs. Your value in the world cannot be perceived by you from where you are today. You can not see your greatest value subjectively. You can come to know it in your heart. And even me too, I don't understand logically my value. I have people telling me all the time, like, this is crazy. This is amazing. I love this. This has been a phenomenal call or whatever. I'm like, awesome. Okay, cool. I didn't think it was that great. Awesome. I'm digging it. I love it. Right? So I'm open to that. But you must trust yourself that anything and everything you do in your time here on the third rock from the sun, it's freaking valuable. You have value. You being in the presence of other people, you have value. You sharing your thoughts and ideals from a place of heart, not from a place of ego and needing to get verification and needing to be right. You sharing from your heart, that's valuable. Tremendous value. You commenting on somebody's social media post from a place of heart. You writing your own post on social media from a place of heart. That's valuable. The world needs that. That can change somebody's day. You change somebody's day, you've changed their lives. Because that mom or whoever you changed goes home, connects with their kid in a much deeper way. And their kid that was second guessing things and frustrated and acting out at school starts to feel more settled, more secure, more safe. They show up at school the next day and they might pass on that goodwill. That goodwill helps out another kid that goes home that day and helps out one of their parents because the kid came home in a good mood and was playful and loving and having fun. It's contagious, you guys. It's much more contagious, these high vibe states, than the low vibe states. There's a lot of low vibe states. There's a lot of people in those states out there. But it doesn't take 1 + 1 in the high vibe states. It has much more contagion to it. So we can change the world with how we feel, how we think, how we act, how we show up. We can change the world. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's change the world. What are you avoiding? Lean into it. And I say this, I don't like violence, but smack that fear in the mouth. Lean into it before it comes to you and suffocates you, because you know how it is. You think about it one time, you think about it 2 times, 3 times, it builds. Then all of a sudden we can't even think straight because we built this whole mountain out of a molehill. Lean in first. Feel it and right away lean in. There's times now that I'm sitting in the office and I feel like I've been sitting too long and I need to do something, but it's comfy and I'm getting some work done, but I feel I need to do something. So I get up. I lean in to that which is uncomfortable, because that's the only way you're going to stretch. That's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way you're truly going to know what your purpose, passion, and path is. So lean in, my friends. All right. Much love to you guys. Let me know how else I can help. Please, if you would, take a moment to leave a rating and review on iTunes. It would greatly help us out. And until next time, lead with love, you guys. The world needs more leaders. Let's do this. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Adam Kiddoo podcast. If you would, take a moment to subscribe and click the bell icon so that way you get notified when future episodes air. Now, here's the thing. If you are looking for the show notes, you can find a link to those below. If you're looking for the handles of the guests that I've been interviewing, things of that nature, you'll find that here. And if there's anything else that stood out to you in the episode, or if there's anything I can do for you, please leave a comment below, or for sure message me on Instagram if you'd like, as I'm always looking to hear what's working well for you and what caught your interest about the Adam Kiddoo podcast. So, time to go, time to change the world, time to help more people. Are you ready? Let's go do this thing. The world needs more leaders. So thanks again for listening to the Adam Kiddoo podcast.